Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's regular City Council meeting. It's Monday, December 2nd, 6 o'clock. I'll declare that a quorum is present. For the record, Councilman Pena is not here. At this time, I would like to ask Councilman Rosso to lead us in the pledge and the prayer.
Lord, we're so grateful that you brought us through Thanksgiving, headed towards Christmas, Lord. We thank you for this season, and we know that you're the reason for the season. We ask you to bless this meeting, bless every word that's spoken, bless the city council, the mayor, the city manager, and everyone under the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, and you may be seated. For the record, Councilman Pena has made it 6:01.
I was
First
actually
up,
outside, Mayor.
First up, we have
Bring it
audience participation. First, or top of my list is going to be Miss Pam Dancy. And Miss Dancy,
Yes, sir.
you had marked on here 3E, I think it is, or
Yes, sir.
3F, and then general.
But they're not here, right?
I'm sorry?
The auditors aren't here. Okay, well then,
You just want to leave it in general?
well, yes, sir. Anyway, first off, Pamela Dancy, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. The Christmas lights look great. I want to thank the police department for catching that gentleman. Well, I don't know if he was a gentleman or not, but the dope guy in his car that I saw online, they caught him. And he's wherever he is, thank goodness, and off the street, nobody was hurt. And speaking of the police department, one of our citizens received a code violation, and he showed it online, and it said, because the code department is with the police department, and it says from the police department on top of that citation. And I don't know whoever thought of doing that, putting police department up on code violation, but I feel like it's rather, or what the motive was behind that, excuse me, behind that, if it's an intimidation tactic, like, oh, well, maybe they'll respond quicker if we put it from police department. And I also feel like intimidation, and it's a form of being a bully to a residence, okay? I think that needs to be changed. But anyway, what I want to talk about here is that I would like to know if y'all can put it on the agenda. It's just a friendly reminder about the mom and pop restaurants. Y'all come up with a solution whenever a contractor hits a water line, how y'all gonna help them out. Also, this audit thing, I don't understand, do they audit just some of the books? Do they audit all the books? Because I feel like something's happening here that with the W-2s and with all the IRS stuff that's showing up that wasn't paid, I don't know what in the world Kathy was doing. I think she should have been excused immediately after the first time, and she wasn't. Also, yeah, that's really pretty much it, because either the auditors aren't going through the general ledger, or they are going through everything, and they're reporting their findings to you guys, but you guys aren't reporting the findings to us, and then we find out later that there's money owed on receivables that should have been cleared up, that kind of thing. I'd like to really know what they do for the amount of money we pay for them, but that's really about it. Oh, no, there's another thing. People ask me all the time, what's going on, and I saw y'all had it on the agenda on that little meeting on Veterans Day about the contractor in Kelty. People are concerned about that. They want to know what in the heck's going on with that. How come we can't find somebody to take that case, file for a subpoena for his bank records, find out where the money went? That's really what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Flora Green.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
My name is Flora Green. I live here in your city for over 20 years now. I'm a proud owner of 2 properties that I own here in Freeport. I didn't know when I bought these properties someone else was interested in the property also. And I've been getting a lot of patrol by my house. A lot of lights coming into my house. This report happened on February the 26th of 2024, between the hours of 9 and 10 o'clock p.m. There was a knock on my door. My husband is in a wheelchair, and I was in the shower. I got out, and I opened the door, and it was Freeport Police Department. 2 patrol cars, 1 sheriff department, and I asked him, "Can I help you?" He said, "Can you step outside?" I said, "No, I'm not stepping outside. What can I help you with?" So I closed the door, went back in, and I called the Freeport Police Department. And I asked her to tell the officer to remove himself because I didn't know why he was here. The police officer knocked again, and I opened, and he said, "If you step over there on my neighbor's property, which works for the sheriff department, and it's a police officer there at the Brazoria County Sheriff Department, you'll be charged with trespassing." I didn't know that Freeport Police Department responded to civil matters because Mr. Hernandez should have conducted himself in a more professional way. And it should have been a civil matter, not a matter for the police department to come out to my house with their lights on, threatening me about a property line. Not acceptable. Okay. 2 days later, code enforcement. I have an RV, and it is within code violation, okay? I don't have it plugged up to sewer. I don't have it plugged up to water. I'm allowed to have it plugged up to power, and that's what I have it plugged up to. He has some pictures here, Mr. Kramer, and he told me that I was in violation, code violation, whatever, and I looked up that code violation. I was not in violation of any code, okay? And then later, about a couple of days later, at night, I got the Freeport Police Department shining their bright lights into my house. I say again, my husband had a stroke, and they're shining lights into my house, okay? I tried to speak with Chief Howell about this situation. My neighbor is Zane Hernandez, which works for the Brazoria County Sheriff Department. The 2 officers that was at my door, the one that spoken, threatened me, Officer Miller. And then we also had another officer, Kramer, No, I'm sorry about that. That wasn't Kramer. What was his name? Graham, Sergeant Graham. Sergeant Graham is the one that I have the video where he's standing out by the car. And Officer Miller is the one that's up there on my video threatening me to tell me that if I step over there on my neighbor's property, I will be charged with trespassing. I'm speechless because 9:30 at nighttime and you're knocking at my door about a property line. Not acceptable, okay? And probably go over my thing, but I got some more property. I have 2 properties. I have one at
Ms. Green,
531 West Bradford.
Ms. Green, I
Okay.
apologize. We have
We got it?
a 4-minute
4 minutes is up.
limit. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for hearing my complaint.
Thank you for
and
bringing
I'll
it to
be
us.
back next week with the other one. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Manning Rollerson.
Good afternoon.
Good
Name
evening.
Manning Rollerson. I live at 126 West 6th Street in Freeport, Texas. I also want to iterate on that concern also because those are 2 African American people. Gordo Campbell family have a reputation. Don't never forget 2005. They wanted to see how to kill a nigga. So at the end of the day, that family has a reputation. And these people live in their homes. They have no business, Freeport police or nobody else have no business handling a civil matter. And those officers for Freeport, you need to get those officers and hold them accountable. Because we've been having a lot of these issues with Freeport officers pulling cars over from the back talking about your tags out. You can't read it until there's an infraction. Oh, I just ran the tags because I feel like. You can't do that. That's illegal. You just can't do that. But that's what they're doing. They're parking in the middle of the highway down here with the lights off in the middle of the night. The patrol car's not noticeable. The sides got to be noticeable. The front got to be noticeable. The lights got to be noticeable. They're writing tickets, sitting in the middle of that media in the middle of the night with no lights on. That's dangerous in the first place. That has to stop. I got plenty of recordings. And those were I was turning over to the Justice Department because of this issue with Miss Green back here. Now, my concern is Gordo Campbell running things in Freeport. That's my concern. How is it possible that Gordo Campbell could use the police in the first place? That seems like a leadership breakdown, with the officers not following the rules of the city or law enforcement. That's a problem for safety of every race of person in this city. Then I definitely want Mr. Matamoros to apologize to every cancer victim in this city and everybody that lost a family member. My mom was amputated piece by piece with cancer. So at the end of the day, he need to apologize or resign, one or the other, because it was hurtful. People have family members that died. You gotta remember Officer Abigail, she was an officer here. It shows a lack of respect and accountability up in here. And I also want to know, what did y'all come to when we're going to do this audit? Is it an independent audit, not done by Olsen & Olsen, but done by an independent agency? Because at the end of the day, it's too much money bleeding out of Freeport and there's no accountability. That's period. Somebody got to wake up in here. My best bet is that I really want is a federal investigation into the city. Period. There's too much going on. There's racial problems going on. There's money issues going on. There's no respect for the public going on. All of this got to stop. Y'all are leaders of this city. Responsibility fall on y'all. And when you don't do nothing about it, it just shows the credibility of the city. And then we got an issue of toxic dumping on the city in the middle of the night by LNG since June up to May the 21st. They've been emitting gas in the community every night. And nobody's being notified by LNG because they self-report. Y'all got to do something. I got the reports before TEC got the reports. I got the press statement before anybody up here got the press statement. How's that possible? And y'all the entity that protect us. I can get these statements from them before y'all can. Y'all got to wake up, brother.
Thank you, Mr. Rollerson. Last, we have Mr. David McGinty.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, all present, and everybody online. The last two are really hard to follow with this, but this is an important thing for me to get through. There are many citizens' comments throughout the year. Most tend to be negative due to the nature of these meetings. This chamber is the place of last resort for citizens' concerns to be raised, and I fully realize that. But my comment this evening is wholly positive and hopefully a little bit uplifting for the citizenry of the city. I'm using this platform to publicly thank the 100-plus citizens, volunteers, local businesses, and last but not least, the City of Freeport for making the 2024 City of Freeport Super Feast a resounding success once again. Our city's sponsorships of money, facilities, and personnel is so very appreciated. By providing this platform to showcase how our citizens, young and old, from every walk of life, can come together and serve the greater good by preparing and serving up a great meal, giving thanks, and giving Freeport a sense of community. While I am not a native of Freeport, I am truly Freeport proud to be involved in this worthy cause. Again, I offer a big thank you to Freeport and all the volunteers that made Freeport Super Feast possible and successful this year, after last year, after the year. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinty. And the kitchen worked as planned? Nice. All right, moving on. Upcoming events. Mr. Petty.
All right, Mayor. On December 7th is Blue Santa Children's Pancake Breakfast at River Place. At 8:30 a.m. will be the entry time for sensory-friendly children and their families. At 9 a.m., entry for all other children and their families. December the 10th and 11th is the Blue Santa First Responder Parade. It starts at dark each night. Chief Howell will give us some more details later for times that patrol will take place. December the 12th, Freeport's founding lecture at 11 a.m. at the Freeport Historical Museum. December the 13th, Holiday on the Brazos at Freeport Municipal Park from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And December the 14th, Christmas ornament making at 11 a.m. at Freeport Historical Museum.
Looks like another busy month. I am honored to read this proclamation to the City of Freeport. Whereas travel and tourism provide significant cultural benefits for the City of Freeport, and whereas meetings, events, leisure, and travel for coastal amenities and heritage tourism are all key components to Freeport's economy, and whereas visitors relish the tourism offerings of the Brazosport and Freeport area, such as a visit to the Freeport Historical Museum, fishing excursions on the Brazos River, and adventures to Freeport's Bryan Beach, along with multiple family events, walking trails, river activities, parks, arts, culture, and festivals. And whereas the City of Freeport has also been recognized as a scenic city, and whereas we acknowledge that all travel, whether related to leisure or business, is beneficial. And whereas welcome visitors from near and far has always been and always will be the enduring ethos of the travel industry and of Freeport. Now therefore, I, Jerry Kane, Mayor of the City of Freeport, do hereby proclaim December 2nd, 2024 as Freeport is a tourism-friendly community in the City of Freeport, and urge all citizens to join the City Council, city staff, and me in recognizing the positive effect travel has on the nation, Texas, and Freeport's economic prosperity and image. So David, that's another thing we can be proud of. And I will put my signature on it right now. All right, regular business. 3A, consideration and possible action on the approval of the city council meeting minutes from the November 18, 2024 meeting. Council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
Yeah, second. Second.
Second by Councilman Rosso. Council, is there any discussion needed on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-1. Councilman Pena being the nay. Agenda item 3B, consideration and possible action approving the mayor to sign the annual Brazoria County MS4 Stormwater Coalition Annual Report. Ms. Kramer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Annually, the city submits our Phase 2 MS4 annual report to TCEQ. And it must be signed by the mayor, so I'm here to present that report to you. This report documents our annual municipal actions required by law. TCEQ oversees stormwater management program, which manages the stormwater systems throughout the state. There are 5 minimum control measures required by the state, which include, number 1, public education, outreach and involvement. Number 2, illicit discharge, detection and elimination. Number 3, construction site stormwater runoff control. Number 4, post-construction stormwater management in areas of new development and redevelopment. Number 5, pollution prevention and good housekeeping for municipal operations. In this previous reporting period, the city had just over 10,000 yards of litter and garbage collected. We had no illicit discharges reported, and there were no stormwater permits or development plans issued.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve the report and approve having you sign it.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Councilman Davis. Council, is there any discussion needed on this item? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Agenda item 3C, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2024-2896, authorizing a revision to the City of Freeport Policy Handbook, Chapter 5, Standards of Conduct, adding Section 5.28, the CDL Training Program. Ms. Fisher.
Yes, this policy is being added to establish guidelines for the payment of the training expenses for the commercial driver's license training. At the previous meeting, you asked me to come up with a policy to recover costs if someone left the city immediately after getting their license, and so this policy addresses that.
Thank you for that. Council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-2896 as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Any discussion needed on this, gentlemen?
What is,
Yes, sir.
what did it change to?
If they
Did you read
leave, if they leave the city's employment within 6 months of getting their CDL, they must repay 100% of the training expenses that we paid out on their behalf. If they leave between 6 and 12 months, it's a prorated amount that they would repay of the training expenses that we pay on their behalf.
Well, I had checked in the hours, and in the county is 2 years.
Ah,
They're aware of this, right? They're aware of this? When
They, yes.
when they go-
This policy will go out, and when they sign up, when they apply to take the class, the form that they fill out, it spells this out to them, that they will be required to repay the expenses if they leave in that time frame.
And repeat the 12 months again?
If it's between 6 months and 12 months, it will be a prorated amount that they would repay. If they left after 9 months, they would repay 3 months' worth of or 25% of the training expenses.
I have a question. Are we able to modify it so that it's in line with the county? Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to be in line with the county?
We can make it however we want it.
I don't know if we need to modify the motion, but if we could make that edit to have that particular component. I think that was the one that was the biggest sticking point in last meeting.
Okay. Can you get me a copy of the county's policy?
Yes, all right.
Okay.
I don't want to try to make it difficult for you, but
No,
I
have
know
no
how
problem
hard it
going in
is to
and-
get this CDL, and if you're gonna pay for it, then people are gonna benefit off it, and they're gonna burn off and leave. And
Yeah, and that's
if you
why
get
if it was in the first 6 months, they
Yeah,
would
but-
pay 100% and.
right, but
yeah.
then you get to 12 months, now you prorating. No, you still at 100%.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, if y'all don't, I think, because it's hard to, you know, and you, people, I mean, they make a lot of money with CDLs elsewhere. And if they get tired of it, they got action now. If somebody gonna pay for it, and I can just, you know, weather the storm for a year, and I can get up out of here and just pay y'all a prorate fee. No,
So you're looking for 100% within 2 years?
in 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think it should be at least a year. That's my personal opinion. I think 6 months is a little light. However, we do have a motion on the floor.
So, David, asking for legal's guidance, if I was to change it for 24 months, 24 consecutive months of active employment, so where they're not, if they leave before 24 months, they have to pay the full amount, can we do that and move forward with just a change?
Yes, you can just amend your motion, and whoever seconded that motion, if they agree to that amendment, then we can move forward.
Jarvis, would you be comfortable with 24 months, like what the county? Instead of the 12 months, making it 24 months, 100%. If they leave before 24 months, they got to pay 100% back.
The county's 12 months, right?
2 years.
Huh?
2 years.
Oh, it's 2 years, okay.
Yeah, so essentially, I think the amended motion is to mirror that of the county. 24 months, 2 years. So, I mean, if that makes sense to you, he's gonna, I think, are you gonna amend your motion to reflect that?
Yes, if Jarvis is good with that, then, yeah, I'll
Okay,
amend the
seconding
motion.
that amendment? Okay, so we can vote on the amended motion.
Okay, well, I think, because Mr. Russell
Yeah, you-
seconded, he
Well,
would
you
have
can talk
to.
you'll
about
have
it
to-
more, but ultimately you can.
So, yeah, I'll make that motion to amend it to 24 consecutive months. If they resign or leave before that, they have to pay 100%.
Oh, yeah, I'll second that.
Did we get a clarification that you're willing to withdraw your second on the original motion? Okay.
I mean, I don't have it, but I'll set them.
All right, so now, council, we have a motion by Councilman Matamoros, seconded by Councilman Davis, to approve this with the amendment that the employee has to remain 24 consecutive months. If he decides to leave within, he or she decides to leave within that time, then they repay 100%. That is a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion needed? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 3D, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2024-2897, authorizing the mayor to execute settlement release documents with retail pharmacy Kroger.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Petty.
Yes, sir. This is part of a class action, but the city council has to take formal action to participate in this. I don't know if there's any further background.
No,
Mr.
I
Ellis.
mean, we've done this a couple times with other defendants as part, that are part of this. And so the Kroger's group settled, we have to actively participate in that claim if we want to.
Can y'all explain what this is actually?
It's a giant opioid case, class action settlement against all retail providers of painkillers. And a lot of them settled. Lawyers made a bunch of money.
Council, I will entertain a vote, entertain a motion.
So that's a motion just to put our name in the hat?
It's just a motion to approve the resolution that we participate in this settlement.
Will a copy of that settlement at this juncture be provided to the public as well?
It absolutely can be, yes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't otherwise be, I mean, that's a public record.
So can that be, any of these active lawsuits, can we just have those on our Facebook, or our city website so that? we
Absolutely
can-
could, yes.
What do we have to do to
I'll
make
work
that
with
happen?
Clarissa to
All right, yeah,
make sure that happens.
thank you.
Some kind of link or something.
Council still looking for a motion
I'll make a motion to approve it.
to approve.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Council, is there any other discussion needed? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks again, gentlemen. Agenda item 3E, consideration and possible action of multi-year engagement letter to conduct city's annual audit for fiscal year ending 2024 through 2027. Ms. Ferguson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Staff recommends the authorization for the city manager and the mayor to accept and sign the multi-year engagement letter with Brooks, Watson and Company. The city hired Brooks Watson to audit fiscal year ending 2023 through fiscal year ending 2027. An engagement letter was signed last year, but it was only for fiscal year 2023. A multi-year engagement letter should have been signed, but it was overlooked. The attached is the engagement letter that will need to be signed. The timing of our audit will be scheduled for completion as follows. Document internal control and preliminary test, September 30th. Mail confirmations, October 1st. Perform year-end audit procedures, January through February, and issue their audit report in March. The city went out for RFQs, requests for qualifications, for auditing services on April 24th, 2023 and May 1st, 2023. The city manager, finance director, and the mayor interviewed 3 audit firms on June 12th, 2023. The city chose to go with Brooks Watson for the period of performance of fiscal year ending 2023 through fiscal year ending 2027. The fee is included in the adopted 2024 through 2025 budget, and the fee schedule is as follows. For fiscal year 2024, it's $64,375. For fiscal year 25, it's $66,300. For fiscal year 26, it's $68,300. And for fiscal year 27, it's $70,350.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. Council, I will entertain a motion on agenda item 3E.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager and mayor to accept and sign the multi-year engagement letter with Brooks Watson.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Council, is there any discussion needed on this?
Yeah, so this is a realtor that, auditor that we had last year. It's been in effect. So what does he audit? I mean, he audited your books, he audited the finances.
So governments are required to have an external auditor firm perform an audit on their financial records every year, especially because we go over $750,000 in federal funds, so we have to have that audit. They audit our financial records, making sure that we're reporting finances with the correct accounting procedures, policies, and everything else. They're making sure that everything that we're reporting in our financial reports is accurate, and they do that by making random selections of what they're going to test, digging into all of our information, making sure that they can test and come up with the same ending, beginning numbers and everything.
I'm just wondering, like, what, I mean, all of these, these mistakes that were made, like how they don't catch none of this stuff. Like, I mean,
Unfortunately, they submit questionnaires that Kathy would have had to answer for the fact that those things were reported and filed on a timely basis for when they were due, and those were the answers that were given to the auditors.
so there was lies.
It is my understanding that this multi-year agreement council voted on back in, I guess, 2023, and what we're voting on tonight is just to sign some paperwork that was not signed whenever the original agreement was adopted.
Yes, sir. We were looking for a contract, and I even reached out to the auditors, and that's when the auditor, he's the managing partner, but he discovered that the multi-year was not signed.
Council, any other questions or comments?
I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
If Councilman Davis has concluded his line of questioning.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess my first question is, and thank you for putting this together, by the way. Thanks for following through on this. I presume that the reason we looked up this contract was because of all the recent failures that we've been discovering under the current audit. Now, to be clear, this is the firm that was doing the audit formerly for the city of Freeport in the last 22 to 23 and 23 to 24?
Yes, sir. We haven't started 23 to 24 just yet.
Okay, so just 22 to 23.
Yes, sir.
Did they do anything else prior to that?
No, sir. They used a different auditor before that time.
Okay. Do you know what that auditor's name was?
Whitley Penn was the company.
Thank you. And the reason I ask is that I want to just make sure that we have on the record from city staff who actually has been responsible for the audits in terms of approving them. And I'm really trying to learn as much as possible here because I do get a lot of questions, and I'm glad that we're here to speak about this here now because I'm curious what that process was. You mentioned that the auditors actually submit a questionnaire to the city, and is that to anybody in particular? Who is that presented to?
So they're received, and this isn't just Freeport, but typically the finance director is the main contact for an audit. So they receive all of the questionnaires and then generally distribute them to the correct department heads. There's questionnaires for municipal court, utility billing, everything we do. So the auditor's main goal is to figure out how exactly your business runs,
Okay.
from down to every policy you have, and then they're going to test information to make sure that you're following those procedures.
And they're currently working on the 23 to 24? Is that right?
Yes, sir. We will begin.
Well, I have at least 3 questions here, possibly more, and depending on what the responses are. But I can say this, that obviously there have been some pretty serious failures that we've come to discover, and I've documented in my own personal list here of about 1.3 million. And that's dating from just of November of last year, so that would have included the 22 to 23 audit. What's in the 23 to 24 audit? I'm just trying to understand. Earlier this year, there was a presentation by City Hall staff about us passing the audit. Was that for the 22, 23? Or
Yes,
was
sir.
that for 23, 24?
That would have been for 2023.
Okay, because I remember in that particular audit update to the council that it was presented that we had passed with flying colors and everybody was singing Kumbaya, and then we come to find out that it's anything but, and there's a lot of failures in there. So I'm actually really glad. I mean, I'm not glad to hear that yet another contract fell through the cracks. That's a whole nother issue. And I'm curious who's responsible for that contract being consummated.
I'm assuming Kathy brought this to council last year, so this would have,
So it got passed.
I felt it would have been her responsibility to make sure it got done.
Okay. Well, it didn't. And fortunately, unfortunately, I would say, fortunately, it didn't get executed so that we wouldn't be bound by that contract. And I don't know what the legalese are on that, but I'll defer to Olson and Olson on that. But if we are not under contract, I could tell you that considering all the losses, all the failed tax reporting that was part of 22, 23 that we've come to discover as it relates to the payroll taxes and that we got fined for not paying in a timely manner. I'm just wondering how that did not get caught and or reported. But then we have all the other failures that we've come to learn here in the last 10 months. And so I'm not inclined to renew them for anything, but I'm also curious if this contract, as it stands now, completely unexecuted, I'm hoping and assuming, if there's language in there, to see if they are in fact liable for any of these losses. And that's what I'm really curious about. But by no means, I can't, in any good conscience, support continuing this relationship with this particular firm who has been on the watch and has led all of these losses. And it wasn't just one loss of 1.3 million. And I have this document. It's like 6 or 7 different items. And I'm thinking, why in the heck did this happen? How did it happen? And what else do we not know? And so those questions here give me pause to accept these guys. And I don't know if any other councilman wants to explain to the residents who are asking about this. Even before, I wasn't sure. I was hoping that tonight that the auditor was a new firm altogether, and it's not. And so I would say we got lucky that we didn't know what we knew now. We got lucky that we got a free year or year and a half or 2 years now where we weren't under contract to learn really what they do and do not do for us. And obviously, they've fallen short. I would have loved for them to say, hey, guys, turns out your books are messed up. We know where the problem is. We know who the problem is, but let's not point fingers. Let's just solve the problem. And that would have been the professional response. But the fact that it wasn't even caught at any level, it makes me really concerned about what the City Hall is communicating to these auditing companies, which brings me to my last question, which is, do we have a copy of their findings, number one? Number two, from 22-23. But I'd be very curious to see what that questionnaire that they gave the city in 22-23 and 23-24 was completed, or how it was completed. I'd like to see copies of that for the council to review to see whether or not honest responses were given.
2024 falls on me, and I have not started that yet.
Okay.
I'm still reviewing expenses from 24. I can't even transition to audit thinking just yet.
Got it.
23, I can look and see, and as far as the audit findings, it's on the website.
So the audit
city
findings are on
website.
the city's website right now?
Yes, sir, it's in their report.
Okay. May I ask that you send a copy to the council? May I ask that? That the acting CFO sends the questionnaire and the findings? Is the questionnaire up there as well?
I don't believe so, but I can double check.
I would definitely, is that public record?
Yes.
I would definitely like to make sure that that's up there. But, you know, I'm not interested in bad-mouthing the firm. I don't want to get into anything that's disparaging. I'll just say that there's a lot of questions surrounding the audit process and the firm that we're considering now. And I would ask that council table it. I know there's a motion on the floor, but that's my line of questions, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, so since it was do we have to sign that?
Well, it sounds like this was, the contract was approved, last?
June of
The
last
authority's
year.
already been granted to the mayor and the city manager to execute the agreement, arguably already exists.
Do we have any legal standing to not move forward with it, considering the findings in the last two audits?
Probably not, but I'm not going to get into that in open session.
So are we stuck with this contract, is what you're saying in the open session?
Did y'all approve the contract last year?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
So it's my understanding, however, in terms of the legal procedures that the city can be afforded, is that if we are in a contract even if we are in a contract, which I'm not sure that we technically are, but maybe we are because we've been acting, and I won't get into the legalese about that. But there is a legal procedure, it's my understanding, that the citizens can file an injunction, or the city itself can file an injunction to put a pause on the contract and to put a pause on the payment process. And maybe that's something I'm just trying to say, like, if we're just falling and falling down some cliff, we need something to grab a hold of.
We're not actively incurring any expenses right now because nothing started, is that correct?
Correct.
So, I mean,
No, that is incorrect. David, Mr. Olson, you are absolutely incorrect. We are incurring expenses, but to the tune of $1.3 million, the losses.
Talking
that are
about,
being-
we're
not
talking about an
incurring
audit.
Audit expenses at this time, are we?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, just know that when you hire a plumber to fix a house and they break the windows walking in with the piping, that's all added up. So we hire these guys to catch this stuff. It's not the 60,000. I'm looking at what they didn't catch sooner so that we could have addressed it sooner. I guess my last question is, the legal question that I had about what we have as options available to the city, do we want to try to act on those or have the discussion in executive session to see what truly our options are before we vote on this? I think that would be prudent.
Go ahead, Mr. Davis. It's on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah. When was the interviews of the other three done? This year or last year or what?
Previous management mayor.
Okay, so, yeah, I wasn't here. You wasn't here. And, yeah, you wasn't here, okay. And you wasn't,
I was sitting in your seat.
but you wasn't on the interview. You wasn't the mayor. Yeah, all right. All right, see, so I'm trying to get back. So this was already done before, okay, yeah. So
And it's
we need to get out of it though, but
also my understanding that it's not uncommon that cities change auditors every 4 or 5 years.
That's correct.
Any other questions or comments, gentlemen?
I have one other comment in response to that, is that, yeah, I mean, that's true, that's what I understand that, you know, there's senators are every 6 years for reelection, presidents are 4 years, auditors are every 4 to 5, 6 years. And that's assuming there's no cause for action. Unfortunately, we've come to discover, fortunately, we've found that there are problems that we need to address before they got worse. And that would be the cause as to why we would not want to continue the relationship, or for that matter, extend the full tenure of it all. Again, I would say at minimum, I would request that we put in an executive session, either today or the next meeting, so we can truly know what our legal options are. I mean, nobody really wants to rock the boat, I get that. We want to just kind of keep moving and everything else. But these are some very serious questions to just keep saying, let's keep moving forward. And that's all I'm saying, Mayor. Thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
no.
Motion carries 3-2.
What was the vote?
3-2.
What was, I didn't hear
Count-
Councilman Rosso's vote. Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Agenda item number 3F, consideration and possible action to accept the FEMA HMGP generator grant for the service center. Ms. Ferguson.
Staff recommends accepting the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, City of Freeport Service Center Generator Grant for the amount of $200,000. The city applied for this generator grant project in November of 2021 to provide reimbursement for the purchase and installation of one permanent natural gas 150 kilowatt generator at the service center. On November 15th of 2024, the city was notified by email that it had been awarded the grant for the amount of $200,000. The generator will mitigate the city service center from power loss due to natural hazards. A natural gas generator will be installed with an automatic transfer switch on a concrete pad. The project should be completed on or before August 18th of 2025. The Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, also known as HMGP, allows for projects to reduce the loss of life and property within the area and lessen the negative impacts of natural disasters. This project was submitted to FEMA for approval in 2021. This grant has a 90% federal match and a 10% local cost share. The federal amount eligible for reimbursement is $180,000, and the local share amount is $20,000. The local share amount was not included in the adopted 2024 to 2025 budget, but it can be funded from the fund balance of Fund 22, Vehicle and Equipment.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. I'm always optimistic, I guess you could say, whenever we talk about grants. So council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve item 3F as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Is there any discussion or questions on this?
I have a quick question. So when are we looking to have this particular component installed?
We would have to start the bidding process from here to get pricing and then
Okay.
go from there.
Oh, so it hasn't been priced out. It's just, we just have this grant dollar amount that's going to get us.
I think there were rough estimate pricing when the grant was written and
Oh.
applied for, yes, sir.
Do you know what that rough pricing might have been?
No, sir.
Okay. Who drafted the grant?
This was previous management, Kathy
Okay.
and Mr. Kelty.
Thank you. No further questions.
Council, anyone else? I will call the vote. All those in favor to approve, state aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor, can we move item 3H up next, since it's another item just like this?
3H is not going to be needed.
Yes, sir. Although we received this grant here recently, CenterPoint has donated a generator for that facility, free of cost to the city. They'll be doing all the electrical, the gas work, and everything else. So we're not going to need that grant at that location.
So that ended up being better than a grant. It brings us to agenda item 3G, consideration and possible action awarding bid and approve the city managers to sign a contract to M&R's Elite Janitorial Solutions for janitorial services for the City of Freeport offices. Ms. Ferguson.
Staff recommends awarding the bid for janitorial services to M&R's Elite Janitorial Solutions and approving the city manager to sign the contract. The request for proposal, or RFP, number 2024-17 for annual janitorial services was released on Friday, November 1st, 2024. The proposals were received on Thursday, November 14th of 2024. The city received 5 proposals. Staff recommends going with M&R's Elite Janitorial Services. The city currently uses M&R's Elite Janitorial Services, and the price that they bid us is a little bit lower than what we're currently paying, which will save the city roughly $2,099.76 annually. Oh, and this is included in the budget already.
Council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to award the contract and have the city manager sign it to M&R Elite Janitorial Solutions.
So we have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilman Davis. Is there any discussion needed on this item?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
On this particular contract, Ms. Ferguson, you mentioned that they came in lower than what they were currently at.
Yes, sir.
And my question is, are they the lowest bidder?
No, sir.
Are we required to accept the lowest bidder?
Actually, I apologize. Yes, they are the lowest bidder.
They're the lowest bidder.
Yes, sorry.
For a service contract like this, so you can take best performance, best bid, and take other things into consideration besides price. That's only limited to public work projects for lowest bidder.
Only for public work projects?
Correct.
And not this one, because this one is considered a what project?
It's a service provider, service vendor.
Serving a public entity?
Providing janitorial services. So we typically put these bids out in such a fashion to where we can give the best value, not necessarily the lowest price, if that is the circumstance.
Thank you. Two other questions here. So we have a contract with this firm now?
Yes, sir.
And
Well,
when
yes.
does that contract end?
December 18th was the best that the vendor could tell me. Again, when Kathy did this last year, a contract was not done.
So we've been going month to month on this one here?
Yes.
We-
In fact, when it came to my attention, that's how we have been treating it, like a month to month.
So I'm glad that we got 5 bids. Let me just state that, because that's a departure from the low count of bidding, or for that matter, no other bidders participating in the process. But what I'm still not really happy about is how we only have this going out to the public, and it seems like it was accelerated. We put it out November 1st, but it came back November 14th. And so it was only out there for 2 weeks. I would like to see us put out our city bids for at least 30 days, especially for days that are probably, I mean, it's a lot of money. And what's the total budget on this thing that we're passing for these guys again? What's it?
$68,999.
Per year?
Sorry, that's what we're paying now. $66,908.
So 67K. And I just want to make mention that, again, I'm really concerned about how we go about putting out bids, RFPs, and how quickly we're turning them around and making sure that we have enough bids. I'm glad, again, that despite that it was a 2-week period, we got 5. And I'm wondering how many others that we might have received had it been for at least 30 days. I guess the last question I would have is that in terms of any other contracts that we have in place, so that we're not butted up against this irresponsible sense of urgency. Oh, well, the contract's about to be in, and then who's going to clean our toilets? Or the contract's about to end, who's going to do our, whatever in the city services? That we have a process in place that we're doing this maybe at least 6 months ahead of time. So that, I mean, I can already see 3 months, no matter what part of the year, there's a holiday in every month.
I have created a master of all of the RFPs we've done for the past 2 years. That's how I discovered that this needed to go out for bid again.
Yeah.
And so going forward, it will be pristine. Everything will be stayed on top of.
And that's a
Also,
working
we
list?
Yes. Also, we have a plugin on our city website. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but for RFPs, they're on there now. Vendors are able to subscribe and get instantly notified for any RFP that we post.
And have there been any other RFPs posted other than this janitorial one from November 1st onward?
We rebid the fuel contract.
Because I know at the last meeting we asked.
Let's,
Hold on, this is about policy, about how we're doing. It's
well,
right.
I understand, but we're talking about this contract and we're already getting way off track.
Well, there's no executive session, so we'll be out of here in 5.
But I ain't worried about when we're getting out of here. I'm worried about sticking to the agenda.
Is this germane?
Well, I tend to agree that we're starting to talk about the policy itself. If you want to actually put that on there, we probably should, to talk about how we do bids, how the timing of it, and because they've established a policy, is my understanding, and they'd be happy to go over it. But I think we need to renotice that as a
Yeah,
discussion
well,
item.
I would just like to say that I'd like to know where that link is on the homepage, and for that matter, if the council could all receive a copy of your working list.
It's actually not even a link, it's a plugin. So if you go to the city page on the purchasing, it's just right there. If you wish to subscribe, the button, it'll take you to that website, and then it's very user-friendly. You just fill out like 3 things, and you can be subscribed.
So when the council decides that we're going to need an RFP done, how soon after the council votes on it does it get on the website?
We're talking about the janitorial contract. We're not we're not talking about how we get on the RFP, how we get on the website, how we do all that. Tonight, we are talking about approving
Sure, I
the
get that.
janitorial contract.
I'm just trying to understand if this was fast-tracked or not, based on what our procedures are. And if I understand what our procedures are, then I know that this fell into our procedure process. But if I see that, in fact, we have a really good elongated process, and this was fast-tracked, that's what I'm trying to understand. I want to know if this was fast-tracked. That's why I was asking, once council decides on something, how soon after is that RFP on the website?
Like the next day. same
Okay,
day.
thank you. That's what I needed to know. No further questions, Mayor.
Any other questions or comments, gentlemen?
Yes, real quick, I'm sorry, when I made the motion and looking over the packet, on page 153, I caught an oversight. And number 18, it says signatories, this agreement shall be signed by Jerry King, Mayor. It should actually read by Lance Petty, City Manager. So I'm going to amend my motion to have that changed in the contract.
Oh, yeah, the original. So I just second that, Sean? I'll second that.
Y'all notice what he just pointed out? All right. Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay, until I understand that process is actually.
Mayor, make a motion to
correct.
adjourn.
Motion carries 4-1. We have a motion on the table to adjourn. Is there a second? I'll make the second. All those in favor state aye.
There's no
Aye.
transparency. Not
All
enough transparency
opposed?
yet. No, there's not enough transparency. We should
Motion
continue.
carries unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen,
Cheeseburgers are on sale tonight.